you are in this world, whatever device you're hearing this on, thank you very much for making us a small part of your day and your lives. This is the very first podcast of Wraith's Realm. I am your host, Wraith. This is the first time for many of you to be hearing my voice, and I just want to say hello. The things that I want to cover in this podcast are just going to be the things that we're going to be discussing throughout the entire time I'm doing them. It's going to be almost an audio continuation of the Facebook page. I'm going to cover pretty much every topic imaginable, everything that you could think of, and even some things you never even dreamt of. This is damn sure not a children's show, just like the Facebook page. This is not for children. This is for adults. If you got children around you, I suggest you either wear headphones or wait till that child is asleep, or somehow do it in privacy without any little ears around. And it is up to you. It's your responsibility to make sure that they don't hear the things that are said on this show. If they do overhear it, I am not at fault. That is your personal responsibility. I am not in your home. I want to start off by thanking you in the flock. Every single one of you. Some of you have been with me for at least 3 years. You've followed me to at least 4 different pages. You're all incredibly important to me. Your support and your love and your kind words have carried me through some of the roughest times that I've ever had, and you have always been able to lift me up when I've been down. The flock is the best thing that happened to me in my life other than my wife and children, and I can't thank each and every one of you enough for taking time out of your day to listen or read or just follow whatever I'm doing. With the billions and billions of different sites, pages, radio shows, podcasts, TV shows, news magazines, etc., you chose to listen and talk and read my stuff. And that I'm grateful for, and I feel very blessed for it. Now, the talking portion as far as this podcast is not going to work like the writing, because I like the idea of spontaneity on the podcast. I don't want anything scripted. I don't want anything written down. It's just me plugging in a headset, hitting the record on my program, and just talking and saying what's on my mind. Like I said, I'm just going to cover a few topics today. And there may be times where there's a little bit of silence or whatever, but that's because I'm trying to calculate my thought, because right now I'm just doing this by myself. I have a producer / IT guy, which is my son, who goes by the name Soul Klepto, a name which I love. I'm glad he uses it. But he's my IT guy. He's not here. He will be here later this afternoon, so we can clean this up and make it sound better, hopefully. You're probably going to hear some buzzing and all this other stuff that shouldn't be there right now. Basically kind of like white noise. I can't control that because I don't know what the hell I'm doing with it. But eventually that will be worked out too. And since this is the first podcast, I'm just trying to see where this will go, if anything. I don't have any idea how many of you are going to actually listen to this. I don't know how many of you are going to listen to this for the first 10 seconds just to hear my voice out of curiosity and turn it off. And I don't know how many of you are going to listen to the thing in its entirety. But I can tell you right off the bat that the vast majority of these will be anywhere between a half hour to an hour long. Some may go longer. I doubt any of them go shorter than a half hour. So if you're going to listen to one of my podcasts, I would suggest that, if you're on a computer or whatever, just open it up and just listen to it and go play Bejeweled or whatever while you're doing it, because it's going to be a lengthy process. One of the things that a lot of you have told me over the years is that you like the fact that I am honest. You like my bluntness, and you like the fact that you know I'm the genuine article, the real deal. We can all smell bullshit and see it when we're around it. You all know that I'm the real deal. You can feel it. You can feel it in my writing. The podcast will be no different. You're going to feel it. You're going to know it's the real deal. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. This will be all adult oriented, and we will talk about everything from blowjobs to God. I'm going to put everything in the show. I want up front to thank one guy in particular that's walking me through this, rather. And that would be my pal Megawatts. He has a show called Megawatts, and it's a podcast. It's an incredible show. The guy is a hell of a guy. One of my favorite DJs of all time. And I have a pretty stringent list of people that I listen to that I like, and he knows his shit, and I like listening to him. And he's given me an incredible boost of confidence to even thinking about pulling this off. So I want to personally thank him right off the top of the show. I also want to thank my lovely wife of almost 20 years. She has backed me on all these crazy ventures that I go on, all this internet shit that I do. No matter what it is, she's my staunchest critic, but she's my biggest supporter. She'll tell me something shit, and she'll tell me if it's good. She's got my back. She does a lot of things behind the scenes, especially on the Facebook page. She'll be doing things behind the scenes on the show too. But she's my rock and my steady, and she helps me out. And she helps me pull in the reins sometimes, because I'm the type of person that doesn't believe in pulling punches. I like to go full throttle. I like to say what I want to say, and usually, in all honesty, not think about the consequences about who or what it's going to affect. And I think that's another thing that you guys like about me, is that it's like I almost don't have a conscience. That I say what I want and do the things I want, and the only repercussions that I could actually have is to lose all of you as listeners and viewers and readers. I say things that a lot of you want to say. I say things that a lot of you would say if you could, but your life makes it to where it's impossible for you to do so. I don't have that problem. I don't have that issue. I've always wanted to try radio out. I always wanted to try some form of radio media. The podcast just makes it more easy and accessible than, say, going to a radio station. I never wanted to be the type of guy that just played music and talked in between the songs. A monkey can do that. I want to be able to communicate. I want to talk. I want to say things that are on my mind, and just let the chips fall where they may. I have no idea how big or small this podcast will ever be. Since this is my first one, I have no idea what to expect. You guys are either all going to love it or hate it, but either way, I'm going to continue. Now, with me as a person and a human being, there's only two ways to view me as a person. If you're new to the page, the Facebook page, and if you're new to anything about me, let me give you a little background. I'm a very upfront individual. I'm very open. I'm very honest. If I have done something in the past, or even in the future, or even now, that I feel is wronged or I have done wrong, I have no problem with admitting it. But if I think and feel as though I'm right, I will argue till hell freezes over to prove my point. One of the things that you guys, all of you, a lot of you have told me, is that you love the fact that on my Facebook page, You feel as though you can be yourselves. And you can. I want you to be yourself. I want you to let your freak flag fly. I want you to be able to be the person you want to be or that you are inside. I'm not looking for a bunch of clowns. I'm not looking for a bunch of sheep. That doesn't work for me. I want you guys to be comfortable in your own skin and be who you are. Now, the subjects that we're going to cover. Like I said, everything from blowjobs to God. And that seems like a real wide spectrum of things. Because it is. But in order for me to not get bored with what I'm doing, and for you to not be bored with what I'm saying, I've got to keep the topics fresh. And no matter what the topic is, it's going to piss somebody off, or you're going to love it. But there's nobody that's ever going to look at anything I write, or anything that I do on a podcast and go, it's okay. No, they're going to be like, he's a prick, or I love him. And that's the way I like it. I don't want any gray area with me. I don't live in a gray area. It's impossible for somebody to somewhat like me or somewhat hate me. You're all in or you're all out. Fortunately, I feel that I have found enough of you to be able to warrant to do something like this. The page has grown exponentially the past 2 weeks. Facebook page. I don't understand why. I have a good guess. You know, there's like 3 other Facebook pages out there that have been sharing my page, and they're getting the word out. And those people are coming from my page, or their page, to mine. Now, excuse me. That is incredible. And that, and the fact that you all are really going out of your way to talk to your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, your fellow Facebookers, and you bring them to my page. I don't pay Facebook a fucking dime, and I don't ever intend one. Every person that comes to that page is coming by word of mouth, which is what I'm hoping is going to happen with this podcast. I know the vast majority of you right up front are going to be like, I didn't expect him to sound like that. I don't know what you expect. I don't know what to tell you to expect. But this is me. I am the genuine article. I am the real deal. I am not a troll. I am not the type of person that just hides behind a keyboard or a computer. I am not the type of person that will not meet you face to face and discuss an issue. I'm not the type of, okay, let me just be blunt about it. I'm not a pussy. I'm not a punk. And I will say what I want, how I want, when I want. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm always an asshole. That just means that I'm opinionated and I don't care about, maybe hurting 5 or 6 people's feelings because they don't like what I have to say. Because for those 5 or 6 people that hate what I have to say, 2 things have happened. 1, I got inside their head. And I'd like to say thank you for letting me live free there. For 2, for all them 6 people that hate me, 12 others will be right behind you that love me. So fuck you. And that's been proven time and time again, just on Facebook, not with this podcast. An issue came up today on Facebook, and I had written about it. It's been a while ago. It's over this Ebola scare tactic that the media is trying to perpetuate. I was asked about the lady in Maine that had broken quarantine, and honestly, I can't answer that question because I haven't been following her story. And the reason I haven't followed her story is because it's the same dribble they've been giving us, guys. They're going to continue to try to scare the hell out of you to where you don't even want to leave your home. The only time they want you to leave your fucking home is so you can vote for them in November. And by then, the Ebola scare will be over. You mark my words. This is all done in an election year for a reason. Since I don't remember the year of Star Wars, the original one with George Lucas, I believe it was like 78, 79, maybe 80. It was the late 70s, right? Well, more people have died from pneumonia than from Ebola in that time period. Since like 1993, there's been like 500 deaths of Ebola, all in West Africa. Okay, there's a couple factors you need to keep in mind. Number one, I encourage anyone that can hear this within the sound of my voice in this podcast, go to the CDC, their website, look at it. They give you preventive measures or what you can do to avoid Ebola. And believe it or not, the first two on the list are the most practical, and I don't understand why it isn't practiced more often. Your best preventive measure is soap and water or hand sanitizer. That's it, folks. That comes from the CDC. Now, can we believe everything they say? No, these are the same motherfuckers that are getting us ready for a zombie apocalypse. Which, that's just bullshit, and that's another thing that gets kids into... It's just another fear tactic. But the government runs itself based on fear, and this is just another thing they're doing it with. They're in cahoots with the media. The media gets bullet points from the damn government. They have been since the days of J. Edgar Hoover at the FBI. They get handed paperwork or probably an email or something every day for bullet points that they are supposed to cover in order to make the American public fear something. Do you remember the AIDS scare in the early 80s? Do you remember what happened during that time? That was the end of the Cold War. That was when Reagan and Gorbachev were talking about tear down that wall. That was another political strife. Let me ask you another question. When was the last time you heard about AIDS being an epidemic? You haven't. Simply because it's no longer an issue in this country or many others that have money because we can fight it. Do people still die of AIDS and HIV? Of course. But we have medication to take care of it. Now, what American person in this country has died from Ebola? Name one. Other than the names you heard for the scare tactics that the media has perpetuated. Give me a name of one person that's actually died. Generally, if you wash your hands and you're not licking the dead body that has Ebola, you'll be fine. It's not a rocket science, people. It's a fear tactic. They've been using it forever. The best way to control a mass of people, and this country's full of millions and billions of people, foreign and domestic alike, there's billions of people that are in this country at one point. The best way to control those people is fear. Because if you're scared to death to even walk down the street, because the way the news media perpetuates the idea that if you just come across somebody with Ebola, it's going to jump on you and you're going to die. That's a scare tactic. It's control. It controls people, especially our elderly, because they believe everything they hear on the damn news. They're looking at the news like it's when Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite was doing the news. But the problem is, Walter Cronkite was getting bullet points from the fucking FBI and CIA too. So you can't believe a damn word that came out of his mouth either. The media has been in cahoots with the government since its inception. Okay? They use fear to make that all happen. It's control, guys. It's another way to control you and your life. That's all it is. You have better chance of being hit by lightning or hitting that Powerball than you do of the Ebola. Because Ebola is an entovirus. They're not new. We've had them since the millennium. This is not the fucking plague. Okay, this is not the Black Plague. This is not something that's contagious. You know, it's not done by... It's not done... The Black Plague came about because of lack of sanitation, and it was all over the streets. It left the septis and all that shit, and made people sick. This supposedly, according to the news media, came from the bat droppings or infected bats because they are a delicacy in West Africa. Now here's my other point. If you know that, foreign country or not, if you know that, why the fuck are you eating them? You know there's a reason that they could die. I mean, it's kind of like when you eat a puffer fish. You're putting your life in your own hand. You're stupid, but you're doing it. This shit is not spread like the news media is making it out to be. You literally have to touch it, have contact with it, basically roll around in it. Is it a possibility that you could get Ebola if you're listening to this podcast? Sure, it's a possibility. There's also a possibility that I'll shoot a unicorn out of my ass too, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Look up the shit. Just look it up. It's there. Like the old X-Files show, the truth is out there. The only difference is the truth really is out there now. It's called the internet. Just look it up. A Google search will show you everything you need to know. The news media is guilty of perpetuating all things that basically cause hatred or fear-mongering. It's my sole belief that the only reason we have racial issues in this country is because of the government and the media. Because your average man on the street could give a damn less what the color of the person's skin is walking down the street as they go the other way. Most people could care less. Because it's not an issue. It's only an issue when it's brought up on television. Take this shit in Ferguson with that kid that got shot. And we can even go as far back as the LA riots with Rodney King. It makes it look like all it takes is a 10-second video for black people to lose their fucking minds and riot. That's what it looks like to all of us that are watching TV. I mean, you also got to blame the Al Sharptons and Jesse Jacksons of the world. They take things like this and make it a racial issue, saying the white man's keeping them down, or the white man's doing this, the white man's doing that. When in truth, they're the fucking racist. They're the ones that hate white people. They're the ones that want reparations for shit that happened before any of us were fucking born. I refuse to pay somebody named Jamal Daniels, who lives in fucking Detroit, $20,000 for something that happened to Jezebeza Weza in Georgia in 1825. Fuck him. I'm not doing it. He don't deserve it. He just wants free money. Nobody did that shit to him. He's never been held down. He's never been slaved. Ever. And to call yourself an African American as a black person in this country is a fucking joke. I mean, you could go up to any black person you know, friend or foe, it doesn't matter. Pick one. Ask them one simple question. Have you ever been to Zimbabwe? I would almost guarantee half of those people won't even know where the fuck Zimbabwe is. The other half will tell you no. And then you have to ask yourself, or maybe even ask them, then why do you consider yourself an African American when you were born in Detroit? You've never been there. You don't even know where the fuck the country is. You don't even know you couldn't even point the continent out on the globe. Yet you want to be called an African American. Well, I'm sorry, I'm a white guy. Does that mean that I'm European American? Does that mean I'm British American? No, I'm a white guy. I'm a cracker. I'm a honky. I don't give a fuck. That's what I am. But this all ties in to the fact that the media and the government really, truly does perpetuate hatred, fear. Now, that's what gets you to click on their websites. That's what gets you to turn on your TV. That's why when they show the word Ebola on your TV, it's in red letters and it looks like it came from a horror film to get your attention. Your attention, your view, gives them money, gives them ratings. You're a fucking number to them. That's all. They don't care who they scare. They figure if they scare enough people, their job's done. There's not enough people in this country to actually look around and question their government, their media, and their methods. Yeah, it's getting more and more prevalent nowadays. That's because of the internet. There's people out there just like me that are fighting it and telling people exactly how it is. Because for the longest time, we used to trust the media to tell us the truth. But that's because we were naive. Anybody that believes what the media says now really needs to get their head examined. Because even if it's your local TV shows and stations, why do you think that every fucking story, especially in the first 10 minutes, has nothing to do with anything but murder, crimes, rapes, and disease? They're attention grabbers. It makes people stop on their show, which leads to ad dollars, which goes back to what I've already said. You're a fucking number. That being said, on a personal level, you're not a number to me. You and the flock, the only reason that any number matters in the flock is that there's many of you. And that's because with many of us, we can accomplish anything. We can accomplish anything. We just gotta set our minds to it. Excuse me. We're all looking for leaders. Some people are leaders. I'm looking for a leader. I'm not a follower. But if I knew somebody that I could stand behind, that would actually make sense and fight the powers that be and make it worthwhile, I would follow. Excuse me real quick. Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to put in this podcast. That's about an embarrassing thing there. Many of you know I already smoke cigarettes. And since this is my first podcast, and I'm not much of a speaker, at least not yet, I'm still learning. You're probably going to hear me cough. You're probably going to hear me smoking a cigarette. I know you're going to hear me flicking a lighter. Today, as we speak, it's cold in my world, so I have a little heater beside me, so you're going to be hearing that vibrate on and off. This is not professional. I've never claimed it to be a professional show, and it's not going to be for quite some time until I get my things together. This is a trial run. Even people that have a name for themselves in radio already do things like this for a trial run. You've got to see what you can actually do before you do it. As we speak, as you hear this podcast, it's probably the 5th to 10th time I've already done this podcast. Over and over. I'm not doing it to make it professional. I'm not doing it to make it perfect. I'm doing it because things just keep happening. Like a computer frees up, my kid needs to drink water, whatever. Something just continues to happen. And that's life, right? I mean, we all get wrapped up in things, and sometimes we have to break away from other things because, well, some things take precedent over the other. Not to be the grammar police, but please, 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 if you use the word precedent with me, do not spell it president. They're two different words. I'm not going to give you the meanings. Look them up. Educate yourself. President and precedent are two different things. I digress. I do want to get into a couple of issues on this podcast. One being, I am not ready to show any of you what I look like or my wife. We need our anonymity. Now, there's a couple in the flock that do have our pictures. And one of the longest members of the flock holds my picture. And she's had it for probably 2 years. And she was more curious as to what I look like, because at that point, for some reason, everybody thought that I was supposed to look like a vampire or some kind of demon or something. And when people actually found out that I was nothing more than just a mortal human, it kind of made them like stop listening and reading. And that's fine. You know, what you see is what you get. I'm not going to kid any of it. This is a very, very, very rough podcast, okay? All I want to do is have a format for the flock to come to and be able to listen, agree, disagree, whatever. But I love radio. I love everything about it. And now that it's gotten to the point to where any average Joe can do it, man, that's a dream come true. I mean, I'm going to address something here that I haven't addressed yet. I've actually been trying to hold off on it because I will be doing a music show in the future. Music is a huge, huge, huge part of my life, as it is many of yours. It has gotten me through every problem I've ever had. Music speaks to me and for me. It's my salvation. It's the music. It's the soundtrack to our lives, as Dick Clark said. That being said, I'm going to go to a quote that's been famously said millions of times, and I think everybody's pretty much talked about it ad nauseum. But that's one of the reasons I hadn't mentioned it, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to. Gene Simmons of Kiss says rock and roll is dead. And he's right, in a way. His form of rock and roll is dead. He's right. You can't do what you did in the 70s. You want to know why? Because it's the year 2014, dickhead. We have computers now. You can't have a monopoly over the music scene. You know, one person just can't do it. People are going out for independent music. They're going to podcasting. They're going to YouTube. They're going to SoundCloud. They're going to other places to get their fucking music. They're downloading it. They're going to iTunes. No, you're not going to sell albums and shit like you used to. You're not going to become a rock star. You can. You could still be a rock star. As far as, living the extravagant lifestyle, the Ferraris and the chicks and all the drugs, that shit's over, man. The internet has made it a level playing field. That's why you're hearing me now. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to hear me on the internet. You wouldn't be able to hear me at all on the podcast. Now you can. So shit's changed. It's made a level playing field for everyone to have a chance to have a voice. That is not my words. Those words came from the great Weird Al Yankovic. And he is exactly right. All the internet did was level the playing field. Everybody started over. It's like having a chalkboard. It was cluttered with a bunch of garbage. Like, I don't know, name any piece of shit band that's like B-52s that's been famous for the last 30, 40 fucking years. What the internet did is took a big ass eraser to that chalkboard and took all them fucking names off. And we got to fill more back in. Now, as far as getting paid, I don't know. I mean, there's bands out there like Slipknot that are making a killing. If rock's dead, how the fuck are they making money? Look at Five Finger Death Punch. Yeah, they're more commercialized than a lot of other bands. They're still a metal band. I mean, you can't classify them as anything else. I would consider them a hard rock band just because of the way they do things, but they're classified heavy metal under that umbrella anyway, since it's got like a million different fucking subgenres, which drives me crazy. It's all music to me. I mean, if you like the Allman Brothers, cool, but it's not metal. If you like Judas Priest, cool, but it's not death metal. Christ, they're not even heavy metal anymore. They're just a rock band. The point is, all of this stuff is done is made it an even playing field. And Gene Simmons doesn't like it because he can no longer monopolize and bully people into buying his crappy fucking merchandise like Kiss condoms, toilet paper, and what other bullshit he's tried to ram down our throat for the past 40 years. Here's the kicker, guys. I've seen Kiss twice live. Once with the original members in 1996, and I saw them again in 2005 in Birmingham, Alabama, with Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer portraying people that they shouldn't be. And first of all, I've got to tell you, the show in '96 was fucking incredible. That was a dream come true for me. I got to see the 4 original members of Kiss. They blew me away. They sounded great. I don't know, nor do I care if Ace Frehley or Peter Criss was on drugs or drinking. I don't care. That was Kiss. Even that being said, I have had messages back and forth with Bruce Kulick, which is another one of their guitarists. A very down-to-earth man. Very, very classy guy. And I loved Kiss in the 80s. I loved Kiss in the 90s. I lost my love for Kiss when they brought out fucking Sonic Boom. And then they brought out this piece of shit they had called Monster. And then I realized I didn't really love Kiss per se. I think it was more, I was more of a fan of Paul Stanley. But as both Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley have gotten older, and they've said more and more is out there about them, I have a hard time even giving a fuck what they say or think. I still love the music. I will still sit here and listen to a copy of Animalize and a Heartbeat. I'll sit back and I'll listen to fucking Rock and Roll Over. You know, it doesn't matter. I still love the music. But as far as the individual players, they can all pretty much go fuck themselves. Ace Frehley is the only one that was actually honest now, but I read his book. It's a fabrication. It's a farce. You want to read it. They all 4 brought a book out last year. You want to read one that's honest, read Peter Criss's. He is the one that told, you could tell he wrote that book. Those are his words because it sounded like him. You can tell. I did not read Gene Simmons' book because I personally think Gene Simmons is a cocksucker. I think Gene Simmons needs to fucking just stop. He needs to roll up the fucking carpet, go home, fuck his stupid ass MILF wife, and take his stupid ass fucking TV shows and his kids and get the fuck off the planet because he gets on my goddamn nerves. He is an arrogant cocksucker for no fucking reason. He barely can hold a tune. He was never a good bass player. He was average at best. I've seen him play twice live, and both times his bass solo was hitting one fucking string and breathing fire. Ooh, who can't hit an open E string and breathe fucking fire? Come on, man. That's not musicianship. I know guys right now that are local bands, and I'm just saying local bands from my state. I know local bands. These guys are going out there every fucking night for no pay, no money, but they put their asses on the line for the love of the music. Now, that being said, they know full well they will probably never be rich doing it, but it doesn't matter because rock lives. Rock is alive and well. Rock will never die. It only died in the corporate sense. We have killed off all those record companies. All those labels that held the metal bands all those years, dropped them for people like fucking, I don't even know these twits names now. Just fucking, you know, put a little piece of ass out there with a black guy rapping, and that's who gets paid now by these companies. Because apparently, that's what America wants. That's a lie, too. There is a huge, huge audience for rock and metal music in this country. Rock is not dead. Gene Simmons' idea of rock is dead. And he can take that how he wants it. That's the only dog I have in that fight. The reason I haven't addressed it is because I figured everybody else had their piece to say. And as far as this podcast, I don't know how many of you can give a fuck about the whole situation. But being that I haven't written about it, I want to say something about it. Because corporate rock is dead. It truly is dead. They have a few bands that they're carrying on their backs, but it's pretty much dead. You want good music, you want good rock music, go out of the country, this country, America, and go independent. Go see a local show. Go see somebody that you've never heard of. There may only be you and 5 of your friends there. It won't matter. You'll still have a good time. You want to know why? Because rock and roll will live forever. That's why. It'll never die. And the only way it will die is if we all die to love it. And since we keep bringing up new generations of people that still love it, and there's still disenfranchised people out there that can relate to what these people are writing, it will never die. This pop music, rap, crap bullshit they got going on, yeah, it's mainstream, it's popular. But if you look back in the history of music, rock had a good 40-year run. It truly did. It had a good 40-year run. They're allowed to be on top for a while. Pop music can be on top for a while, it's fine. Country was on top for a while. Hell, look at the early 90s. Country took over when hair metal left. All people was listening to hair metal like, fuck, that's what we're going to do. They got this grunge shit. I hate Kurt Cobain. I didn't care that he shot himself. I think Nirvana sucked. I don't think they had one fucking song that was worthy except for Heart-Shaped Box. Period. You gonna tell me Rape Me is a good fucking song? Seriously? No. The only band out of that whole slew of bullshit that came out that was worthy of any kind of good rock music was Alice in Chains. That band, even now, if you go back and you listen to Facelift or Dirt, that's still damn good music. You can't do that shit with Pearl Jam or Nirvana. Because it's going to sound like dated crap. Because that's what it is. Dated crap. And it's shit that nobody cares to listen to. And all that was because the record companies decided it was now time to change course because, well, hair metal wasn't selling like it used to. But there's a good reason for that. When you bring out bands like Nelson and Trickster and all these other pussy bands with all their fucking makeup and hairspray and take the whole metal out of the equation, it's going to die. Hair metal needed to die. And I'll agree with Dee Snider in this one from Voices History. It needed to die, and I wish I'd have been the one to kill it. Because I listened to hair metal. I loved it. I did. I still listen to hair metal. It's called AOR now. Adult-oriented rock. I still listen to it. But it's not a mainstay of mine. My point with the whole thing is, rock will never die. Gene Simmons, go to hell, go away, go retire, and go fuck yourself. That's the end of that rant about Gene Simmons and his fucking statements. I told you we were going to bounce around subjects. We went from Ebola to Gene Simmons. How about that? Now let's talk about something that maybe all of us might have a little bit more interest in than just that. I've got to bounce around subjects because I have no idea what you and the flock want to hear about. I don't know day to day what you guys will like, what you don't like. I take you guys in the flock into consideration for everything I do when it comes to the internet. Because you're my purpose for doing what I do. You are the reason I still have a fight in me. And you are the reason why I still have this belief that this is going to grow into something big. I'm not saying I'm going to be Howard Stern, because I don't fucking want to be Howard Stern. I don't care for him either. But just name recognition alone, you guys know what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there should be enough of us in this flock to make a change in something. And I don't know what that'll be. And I'm sure that, as podcasts go by, there may be a few people that listen to them and are like, they go and dissect everything I say and, you know, try to say, well, you didn't say this, you went against what you said here or there. You're probably right. You're probably right. But who amongst us has not been hypocritical of ourselves? We've all done things and said things that we shouldn't have said, or I can't formulate. This is why I write, folks. This is exactly why I write, because as I'm talking, I'm on the spot and my brain's going a million miles an hour, and I can't slow down enough to formulate an exact thought. That's why I write. So if I sound like I got Tourette's, I kind of do, because I get lost up and wrapped up in what I'm saying. When I get into a subject that I am passionate about, I can go off on a 45-minute tangent and not even think about it. Hell, I do that just talking to my family. My family is my source of letting me know what people really do think. Like, if, with this podcast, for example, my family will listen to it before any of you do. And that's because I want their critique. I don't want a bunch of yes men. I don't want a bunch of people who are like, oh, that's great, Wraith. No, fuck that. I want truth. I want honesty. I want to know that what I'm doing is hitting everything you guys want to hear. And even if it's some shit you don't want to hear, at least I know you heard it. I often talk about things like race relations. I was actually going to write an article about it, but after a lot of self-deliberation, I decided against it. And I think I'm going to keep the opinion articles off the Facebook page, because I lose too many people on the page. I think I'm going to make the podcast my opinion pieces from now on. Because when I say the things that I say on Facebook, and this has happened so many times, I know it'll happen again, the page loses likes. People leave in droves. And that's because they're pussies. That's because they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want somebody telling them that they're a fuck up. And they don't want some strange guy that they don't even know judging or being judgmental towards them, when all I'm doing is being honest. You can call it judgmental all you want to, but we're all judgmental. Every fucking one of us. We're all vain, we're all shallow. Just different depths. Now, I have been told I'm an arrogant bastard, and I've been told that the names I've been called, you would probably not believe if I told you the names I've been called. The only thing I miss about not writing the opinion pieces on Facebook is the hate mail that I was getting. Because I would get some great hate mail. And I love hate mail. Because that means that I have pissed you off enough to force you to write something to tell me you hate me. I love you too. Because the only reason my hater of mine will write me is because I'm on their mind. Well, I love you for hating me. That means I'm on your mind. And I don't go against my haters. I live with them. I love them. I want them there. They help fuel my fire. Because sometimes this shit just ain't working. There's been times on Facebook, namely, that being on that site wasn't even worthy of my time. I mean, I can recall not 4 or 5 months ago, I was on there there are times where I'm up on Facebook anywhere between 8, 12, and 24 hours. And there was one time I was on there for like 15 hours and got one fucking like. One. Now, does that sound like fun to you? So, that's where the flock comes in. Because every fucking time that happens, one of you flock members will get with me. It'd either be a message or a comment or something to let me know you're still there. And that's what keeps me going. Because as long as somebody's out there and they still want to hear what I have to say, whether it be in written word or on this podcast, I'm going to continue to do it. Oh, shit. I'll see if I can edit that out later. Excuse me, I had to call. Getting smoker's cough. But my last, I guess, tangent, because I mean this is running up to be about an hour, and I apologize for the length, but like I said before, if you've read any of my writings, you know for a fact that me being lengthy with my words is nothing new. I hope that you have enjoyed the little insanity that I brought just sprinkled into this so far. And if you do like what you've heard, please tell others. And please keep in mind, this is the very first one. They're not all going to be this way. They're not all going to be this disorganized. And they're not all going to be this sporadic. There may be times where I do just take one subject and use it for the whole podcast. I don't see that happening because I have so many opinions on so many different subjects, as all of you do. Which is why I love it when you guys bring something to me that I haven't thought about. When you guys come to me and talk to me, like, you do it with pictures too, which this still trips me out to this day. I'll look at a picture and I'll be like, wow, that's a cool picture. I'll share it with them because I think they'll like it. And there'll be somebody that says, well, what about that hand in the right hand corner? That's pretty cool. And I'm looking at this picture going, what right hand? I never saw it. You guys see things I don't, which makes me a better person by learning from you as you learn from me. I simply love being in this position. I simply love the fact that this here could end up being something that I've always dreamed of. If it fails, it fails. And odds are it will. You know, not because I'm just, see, I'm a writer. Not just because I'm looking down on things, it's because I'm realistic. You know, realistically, I don't really see this being like a Rush Limbaugh type show popularity and the kind of money he makes. Not at all. Hell, I'd be happy with just 100 folks listening to me, to be honest with you. And since this is all free, you don't have to pay for shit. I'm not even going to ask for advertising revenue. If that comes up in the future and I got an opportunity to, you're damn right I'm going to take it. But with the way I run things as far as my language, because most people want you to keep it, you know, family friendly, I refuse to do a PG-13 show. I refuse to write PG-13. I just do. My mind is constantly working. It never shuts off. As I lay down at night, my brain will not stop. It's a continuous, long, drawn-out thought process. I've been accused of overthinking things multiple times. And in truth, I have done exactly that. I've overthought things. And I've thought things that were there that weren't. Or vice versa. That's my curse. Or blessing, depending on how you look at it. This here was just something that I wanted to try out. I wanted to see how it worked. And I wanted to see if you guys liked it. It's pretty much all I have for now. I have a lot more to cover in other podcasts coming soon, because if this actually does pan out to where you people in the flock, where you do like what you're hearing, I will be pushing these out quite frequently, because it's something that I really am enjoying. I really like doing this, even though I'm in a room all by myself and it feels as though I'm talking to just my computer and looking at little squiggly lines that are telling me the peaks and valleys of my voice. But I'm still enjoying it, and I'm excited to see where this is going to lead, and I'm excited for the future of the page. I'm excited for the future of the flock. The flock has not been this strong since Gothic Fairy Tale, and that's been 2 years ago. It's taken a long time to rebuild the flock. Some of you newer members of the flock, God bless you. I don't know where you came from, and it doesn't matter to me what you've done, who you are. I don't care. You are now in the flock. You are one with us. For you, and for those of you that have been with me this whole time, I love you. I do. I love you in the flock. You guys are exactly what I've already said you are to me, and I've never doubted that. That's why when you guys will write me, well, I love you, Wraith, you get all that love right back at you, because I love you guys as much as you love me, and I love doing this for you guys. I love entertaining you. I love making you think. I love being able to communicate with you and interact. It's part of my life now, and it's a part that I'm really excited that's going to start to expand a little bit here. And I have so many people to thank just for getting to this point, which, like I said, this is a rough copy of what the hell I'm going to do. This may get shortened down once my IT guy gets here. I don't know. We'll figure it out. The podcast will be up probably within a day or so. But I feel in my soul that this is going to be something. I don't know what. I don't know where it's going to lead. This is what I was born for. This is why I'm here. And nothing can convince me about otherwise. Nothing. I have a lot of stories to share with all of you. Life experiences. Heartache, pain, good times, bad times. But I can guarantee the travel will be fun. And I really hope that you guys decide to stick around and see where everything goes. I'm pretty sure I'm at the end of this podcast. It's an hour now. And I truly appreciate all of you who have hung out and decided to stick around with the entire podcast. I welcome any comments, questions. I welcome any criticisms. But make sure they're constructive criticism. I can take criticism as long as it's not, "Oh, well, you suck, dickhead." That's not much of a criticism. What the hell does that mean? You suck, dickhead. Okay, well, maybe I do, but what the hell's I got to do with the podcast? Anyway, I want to thank all of you for listening, and I will be having another one of these coming up very soon. I thank you again. God bless you.